Hi, today I want to talk about something that might be a little, I wouldn't say controversial, but people are going to have varying opinions on it. But this is purely my opinion and my personal experience. You know, as everyone knows, I've lived and spent considerable time in Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines, and now really living here in Kenya at least until another month or so. And one thing I didn't expect is dating Kenyan women is very noticeably different and honestly better in some key ways. And again, this is not about bashing anyone. Again, I'm just sharing my personal experience and my opinions on it. And I'm not trying to say one group is bad and another one is good. I would just say it's about compatibility, maturity, communication, and how it feels in real life. So let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Stick around.
I'm tired of waiting here. Same four walls, same fading year. Got these plans stuck in my head. Southeast Asia calling me instead. Bangkok nights and Bali shores. Sick of dreaming, want something more.
One of the first things I've noticed here is language comprehension. Yes, Filipinos speak English, often very well, but there is a difference between speaking English and fully understanding nuance. And here in Kenya, I've noticed the women understand complex sentences. They follow sarcasm. They catch dry humor. They can watch a movie with subtle dialogue and completely get it. I don't have to slow down my speech. I don't have to simplify my thoughts. And I don't have to explain every joke, and they don't take everything literally. If you throw out some sarcasm or something, they get it. So it feels like I'm talking to an equal conversational partner and not translating my personality into simple mode. And for me, that matters long term. There's so many times in the Philippines, I don't even really need to mention Thailand and Vietnam at this point because of the huge language barrier. But the Philippines, they do speak English. But I had so many issues over understanding like a complex plot or a dialogue in a movie, or sarcastic humor, them taking it literally, and so many misunderstandings. And here you just don't have that. And the second thing why I like dating in Kenya better is the emotional and intellectual maturity. And that's another big difference, is the maturity. In the Philippines, and I would see so many Filipinas of all ages doing these TikTok videos like all day long, just TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. That's all they did, just doing TikTok videos. And here, I haven't seen that at all. You don't really see that. I would say Kenyan women in their 20s and their 30s definitely feel more grounded, more realistic about life, less performative, and I would say conversations go deeper. Careers, politics, family structure, they really just seem to be up to date on what's happening in the world. They aren't, they know what else is going on. It's not just what's going on in the barangay. It's like they know what's going on in the world, in Kenya. And so life goals, real life problems, it's just, it's kind of refreshing that after all that time in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, Vietnam, forget about it. You're lucky if you find someone who speaks good English. And the Philippines, you can find someone who speaks. Listen, there's going to be people who comment and say, oh, my girlfriend speaks great English. Listen, I'm not debating that. There are some that do speak great English, but I'm talking about my overall experience in the Philippines. And I would say there's less fantasy thinking and more practical awareness here. Because for me, in Southeast Asia, dating can sometimes feel like escapism, role-playing, or living in this romantic bubble. Here, it feels more adult for me. Again, this is my personal experience and my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. It's just my personal experience and opinion on the matter. But again, getting back to that social media and culture, this one actually surprised me because I just thought it was all over now. I just thought it was something that girls in their 20s do. But I haven't seen the constant TikToking, silly dancing videos, the performative look at me content. I just don't really see that much here. Now, obviously, social media exists here. It's everywhere. It's reached the farthest corners of the earth now. But it doesn't seem to define identity the same way that it did over in Southeast Asia. I would say a lot of women here are more private, less validation driven, less obsessed with being seen online. And for me, that kind of creates a calmer dating environment. And you're kind of present with each other and not competing with the internet, if that makes any sense. And something else that I really respect is self-confidence without dependence. So what exactly do I mean by that? I think many Kenyan women expect to work, expect independence, and I think don't automatically look at a foreigner as a solution. And that's huge. And for me, I don't feel like I'm being sized up financially all the time here. I did in Southeast Asia, but here I don't so much. I don't feel like I'm responsible for rescuing someone, and I don't feel like I'm stepping into a provider role by default. For me, the best way I can describe it is it feels like, let's see if we're compatible first. And that kind of takes a little bit of pressure off the relationship. And I also think Kenyan women tend to be more direct. You know, if they like you, you know. If they don't, you also know. Less guessing, less passive communication. And for me, that clarity is pretty refreshing, especially if you've dated in cultures where politeness masks feelings, conflict is avoided, honesty comes late. I think the directness saves time and emotional energy. And one thing I've realized as I get older, I'm less interested in fantasy and more interested in the real connection. And here, dating feels less transactional, less scripted, less about playing roles. For me, it's not foreigner plus local equals automatic expectations. It's just kind of two adults seeing if they vibe. That's how it feels like for me. But again, let me be clear, there are amazing women in Southeast Asia, and there are difficult women in Kenya. No country has a monopoly on character. Again, this is about my personality, my age, my communication style, where I am in life right now, and compatibility changes as you change. So this is not a one size fits all. My opinion, my experience of how I perceive the dating here versus Southeast Asia. Another interesting thing that I found out that I want to mention is comparing three countries as overall safety. Like I mentioned in my last video, I don't want to get married again, but I am very open to a serious relationship and living together. In Kenya, has no common law marriage. Living together does not automatically equal a spouse. No automatic partner support. And courts rarely impose obligations unless children are involved, which I'm not having any more children. Property is jointly claimed, and I'm not going to buy any property here, or you clearly present yourself as married. Other than that, living together, if it goes south, you know, there's not this common law marriage thing here. What I do and what I would tell everyone is, again, keep your finances separate. Don't put property in her name. Avoid presenting yourself as married. And if long-term, you can use a simple cohabitation agreement. And compared to Southeast Asia, Kenya gives you the most clarity and control. Now, Thailand, I looked at, and it's a very low, moderate risk as well. They don't have the common law marriage, no automatic support obligation, no palimony. Courts don't care if you live together. Same thing, assets bought in her name can be risky. Informal business arrangements, assuming love equals ownership. So again, it's pretty on par with Kenya for Thailand. Now the Philippines actually ranks as one of the highest risk countries. And what do I mean by that? Well, and I'm looking at my notes here, but long-term cohabitation in the Philippines can be treated as family. Courts can impose support expectations, property sharing, and the system strongly favors women and children. Even without marriage, obligations can arise. Biggest risks in the Philippines being the sole provider, long cohabitation, supporting extended family, and children, very high liability, especially if you're a foreigner. Trust me, it's going to go way up. And so, based on the research, for the Philippines, they say the way to protect yourself is avoid cohabitation if possible. Well, that kind of, if you want to really protect yourself in the Philippines, well, that kind of throws out a serious relationship if you're not going to live together. Never act as a sole provider. Well, that's pretty much, you know, foreigners end up living together and he ends up being the sole provider. Keep finances strictly separate. Avoid property purchases together. And leave early if expectations arise. So Philippines is the easiest place to slide into obligations without realizing it. So again, just universal rules, you know, no joint accounts, no property in her name, no acting married if you aren't. Children, well, that's a lifetime responsibility. So basically, based on that, if we're talking about the legal ramifications, Kenya is the best balance of maturity plus legal safety. Thailand, legally safe, financially dangerous if careless. And the Philippines, emotionally warm, legally risky. So where you date matters just as much as who you date. Anyway, I thought that was interesting information that I wanted to share with you. And I've known lots of people who've gone into financial trouble with Filipinas, even just living together. So I'll just end it by saying this. For me, at this stage of life, dating in Kenya feels more aligned with who I am now than dating in Southeast Asia. That doesn't mean it's right for everyone, but it's been pretty eye-opening and it's been a great experience and worth talking about, honestly. So if you've dated in different regions of the world, I'd love to hear your experience respectfully in the comments down below. And I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.
I'm tired of waiting here. Same four walls, same fading year. Got these plans stuck in my head. Southeast Asia calling me instead. Bangkok nights and Bali shores. Sick of dreaming, want something more. Pack your bags, don't hesitate. Gio, let's go before it's too late. Time